after getting out of the military, I just kind of lost my way. I got into some trouble, ended up in prison. I did about 3.5, 4 months in prison. It was a real short stint, but enough for me to get sober.
I
and
mean, I don't like it
my
here.
life, I had hit like rock bottom.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I was able to start drawing and getting into art again. And I had seen some guys doing some tattoos one night. I was like, man, I bet I could do that.
Oh, wow.
And then when I got out, I ordered some stuff and started teaching myself how to tattoo and kind of pursued that. My daughter was born in 2004, so that kind of, I was tattooed out of my house on people trying to figure it out. In 2004, I had to get like a job. I started working these factory jobs and was just like beating myself up, man.
Yeah,
And so I ended up pursuing an apprenticeship,
right.
finding a shop and doing the apprenticeship and just going full bore with tattooing.
Yeah.
And I never looked back.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Chris with Cherokee Auto Sales, and I'm here with Isaac Ortiz-Riendeau with the Knoxville Tattoo Collective. And we're going to talk about his tattoo business here a little bit.
Yeah.
So, good morning.
How are you?
Or good afternoon. I'm good. Yeah. We've been sitting here visiting, learning about the Knoxville Tattoo Collective business here on Alcoa Highway. Their business number is 865-474-9054, and their business address here is 3103 Alcoa Highway, and that's in Knoxville. And that's going to be right down the road from the college and right down the road from UT Hospital. It's actually right here where they've been doing all of this construction. It looks like they're about done here in this area.
Yeah, it's coming along nice.
You have a beautiful facility here. How big is your facility here?
This facility is 4,800 square feet.
So that's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Coming from 1,100 square feet, it's a huge change.
Yeah, yeah.
So nice.
It doesn't take very much room to set up a tattoo artist.
No.
Probably like 500, 400 square feet, but you got a lot of room here for different tattoo artists. Yeah. So
right now we have seven artists in total.
Right. So you have 7 artists in total, and they do. You guys are doing tattoos, and then you're doing piercings also. You said.
Awesome. 3 of my artists also pierce. So.
And then so you're going to see a lot of pictures. We're going to rotate through the pictures of the cases where they've got a lot of their artifacts that they can install into a piercing, and you're going to see a lot of the chairs and stuff. And so you've got a beautiful, really clean facility.
Thank you.
So
Thank you. I appreciate
awesome.
that.
Yeah. So for sure. So their hours are going to be 10 to 6 Sunday through Wednesday, and then 12 to 8 Thursday through Saturday. Leave them a 5-star honest Google review, please. Go to their Google business profile, Knoxville Tattoo Collective, and leave them a 5-star review. Okay, so you mentioned that you're a veteran. Tell me about what that means to you.
Yeah, so I joined the Army right out of high school. Did 4 years, 2 years active, 2 years inactive. I got out and moved to Colorado to try to pursue a career as a diesel mechanic.
Oh, nice.
However, that did not pan out for me, so I ended up getting into tattooing.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what did you do in the Army?
I was a mechanic in the Army.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you were a diesel mechanic in the
diesel
Army?
mechanic in the
Okay,
Army,
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was stationed down in Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
So you were in South Carolina.
Yeah. I never deployed.
Is it hot in South Carolina?
Super hot in South Carolina, yes.
Where's Fort Jackson?
Fort Jackson's right outside Columbia.
Oh, okay, very good.
So
Yeah.
It's a really nice area. It definitely gets cold in the winter at night, but it is hot all day long.
Nice. I have a friend that has a car dealership in Columbia Auto Sales, and then I have a family member who lives in Irmo.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was actually in the Army for 20 years.
Yeah, nice.
So so when he got out, they moved to Irmo there, and they bought a house, and so
it's a nice area. It's really beautiful.
It is. Yeah, it's a beautiful area. Yeah, very hot in the summertime, very humid.
Yes, definitely.
Don't want to not have air conditioning.
Yeah. I mean, honestly though, I can remember going to North Carolina and it being even more humid in North Carolina than South Carolina. So I think out of the 2 Carolinas, South Carolina is probably the better bet, as far as the weather.
Oh yeah. So you think South Carolina has a nicer climate?
I thought so. Having to breathe it all the time.
Oh yeah.
I remember getting to North Carolina and just it being so heavy, feeling like the air was so heavy out there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So when you went into never asked anyone this before, but when you went into basic training, was it what you were expecting it to be, or was it a shock? Or
So for me, I actually
did you have a good experience?
Yeah, my basic training. It was I went in '99, so we were the first class to take on the newer training that they do now.
Right.
It was a lot of urban warfare stuff that they were kind of getting away from the whole jungle warfare and kind of transitioning into desert climates, stuff like that.
Okay.
So my class was actually one of the first to go through that. We were kind of the guinea pigs. And now that's the training they use for all soldiers as far as I know now. So for me, it was a lot different. I had cousins and family members that were in the military prior to me going in, and theirs was a lot more harsh.
Oh, wow.
Something about Fort Jackson is it's a co-ed. It's a co-ed training facility.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so they don't. I think when they switched over the training, it was they can't go as hard on you. They weren't allowed to push you as much, you know.
Right.
But it was still an
Not so much
experience.
hazing anymore.
Right, exactly. They weren't allowed to put their hands on you.
Oh, okay,
That was
gotcha.
kind of the only
Yeah,
thing that really changed. And they started doing more calisthenics instead of, pushing stuff and weights.
Right.
It was more of just using your body to create muscle.
Like resistance and
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah, it was really cool. I had a great experience. I actually enjoyed the training more than not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'd rather
That's
be
good.
training than just sitting around in a motor pool.
So y'all did a lot of running and stuff too then?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we ran every day, which is probably why I hate cardio now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a cardio.
My dad was in the Army for 4 years. He was stationed in Germany, but he used to say this chant that they would say when they would run.
Yeah.
It was G.I. Jones. How does it go? G.I. Jones and G.I. Gravy. G.I. wish I joined the Navy or something like that. He used to say that a lot when we were growing up, and so
cadences.
just got sick of hearing that. But I'm thinking back to him, and I can imagine. So I used to be a nurse, and I used to work in a nursing home prior to going into the car business and into the finance area. But one of the things that we would do is we would work with demented veterans, and one of the very last things that somebody loses their memory of is they keep their serial number forever. So do you remember your serial number?
That was my social security number.
Okay, cool. So I had a gentleman who was 95 years old who could do none of his activities of daily living, was not oriented to person, place, or thing, but he could tell you his he could tell you his serial number.
Well, when you're captain,
immediately,
you're supposed to give him. That's all you're supposed to give him is your rank. And your social security number.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then I was talking to a gentleman a couple of days ago on the podcast actually, and he was talking about his what he did for work, and he was a bodyguard of a colonel. That's actually what he did the whole time. So
cool.
yeah, that was interesting. So you don't think about being a bodyguard, a paid bodyguard in the military, but a lot of guns and stuff. So
yeah, I mean it makes sense.
Yeah. So can you share a story about a particularly memorable tattoo that you've done and what made it special for your client?
I recently had a guy come in who lost his girlfriend, and he had also lost his mom not too long before.
Yeah.
So we did a couple portraits.
Okay.
He had actually had one of the portraits of his mom already on him.
Oh, right.
That was poorly done. He had it done while he was locked up.
Right.
So we redid that one and then added the one of his girlfriend.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people. Sometimes these tattoos, it's a way for them to find closure.
Sure.
In whatever they're dealing with.
Right.
So we do that, and I've been doing this over 20 years, and it's
Oh, wow.
been a lot of closures. So,
Yeah.
It always feels nice to do tattoos like that as opposed to someone that walks off the street and just wants something off the wall.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, or they don't have a clue what they want.
Right.
Just
They
help
just
me
want something.
help me figure out what I want. So
exactly.
yeah.
So-
So I had a girl that I met the other day, and she had a little bitty tattoo sitting here on her wrist. It was on the bottom of her wrist, and I said, "Well, what does that mean?" And she says, "That's who I am inside. That's my spirit."
Yeah.
And it was a picture of like a snake or something. She's like, I was like, "Well, okay."
Yeah.
And she,
Tattoos are, it's the biggest form, the oldest form of self-expression.
Right,
So
yeah.
really, when it comes to trying to represent yourself in a way that's, and everybody does it different, whether it's coloring their hair
Sure,
or dressing
absolutely.
a certain way.
Yeah, 100%.
But tattoos are the most permanent way to kind of represent yourself the way you want.
That's cool. Yeah. I agree with that. So tell me something about yourself and maybe like a superhero strength that you have that not everybody knows about.
I have a really good ability to read people.
Okay.
I've been all through all kinds of phases in my life, and I think it's given me a lot of knowledge as far as being able to really read somebody that comes into my studio, whether it be them being nervous,
Right.
anxious.
Yeah. I was going to ask.
Artists, I can read a lot of the artists that come in. I can usually tell if they're struggling with something, or
Right.
So it's an ability a lot of people don't have. A lot of people kind of just blow away the other people around them, but I tend to pick up on that stuff and be able to kind of poke it out. And
I bet you're a good listener.
I have had, I think I am. I've had to listen to a lot of stuff over the years.
Right.
It seems like tattoo artists become therapists too. We have to hear a lot of stories, and
Right.
So you try not to take on a lot of people's personal stuff. But I definitely I've listened to a lot of stories over the years, people going through stuff. And,
Right.
I try not to get too personal with my clients, but there are clients out there that you kind of something will kind of hit a string in you, and you're like, wow, I had a similar experience, and that kind of brings you a little bit closer and makes a tattoo a little bit more meaningful.
When I picture you sitting there and the person laying in your chair, I picture like a dental assistant, sitting there working on someone's mouth, or a dentist working on someone's mouth. My fiance is a registered dental assistant, same company, 25 years. She's been doing it since she was really young, and she tells me that there's two things that will happen there that are memorable for her. And of course, one is the person being inappropriate,
Yeah.
you know, which is a bad judgment call on the person at that time. But the other one is when someone, you know, is going through a mental crack or something. They'll talk about that, whether, you know, their relationship stressed out, whether they're nervous sitting there in the chair. You can imagine, you know, they're drilling, and some people have dental phobias. I hate the dentist. I hated the dentist before, you know, I got over that. But yeah, so that's something that's memorable to them. And of course, they see, you know, 5, 6, 7 people a day, you know, 4 or 5 days a week. So you probably have a specific thing that you're thinking about sometimes, you know, when someone's been going through something like that.
Yeah.
So are you an animal person?
I do. I have dogs. I've always been a dog person. I've got a boxer right now. But I've had English bulldogs, Rottweilers. I've got 2 Chihuahuas and a Frenchie at home as well.
Yeah, 4 dogs.
Yeah, so we got
what are their
4
names?
total. The Frenchie's name is Louis. He's actually on Instagram. You can follow him.
Oh, he has his own Instagram?
Yeah, Louis DePucci. And I've got the 2 Chihuahuas, Valentino and Bean. And then my boxer's name is Jaxie.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how old are they?
The boxer's going on 5. The Chihuahuas, the Chihuahuas are probably about a year, maybe a little over a year, and then the Frenchie is about 2 years old.
Right.
So they're all
awesome.
Still real young.
So do you want to tell us about your family? You said you've got kids.
I've got 4 kids. I've got 3 daughters and a son. My son is my youngest. He's 2. Then I've got an 8-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 20-year-old.
Okay.
So they're all different stages of life.
Big family.
Yeah, I got one in middle school, one in elementary school, and then my daughter is 20. Of course, she's works for me. She's a tattoo artist.
Right. What's her name?
Her name is Rachel.
Rachel.
She's been tattooing now a little over a year. So she's growing. And it's awesome to watch her grow and kind of take on my footsteps, and hopefully someday take on the industry.
She's a little right brain. She's artistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I've learned over the years with tattooing is you don't necessarily have to be an artist to be a tattooer. I think that once you start to envelop yourself in tattooing, the artistry just kind of flows with it.
Oh, okay.
You know, some people start off very raw, you know.
Yeah.
But tattooing, because it's depending on what you're doing, the designs, it's very specified. You know, you know exactly what it looks like. I think over time, as you do it enough, you start to it comes to you.
Yeah.
You know, people that aren't artists or don't think of themselves as artists, after a while they start to become artists and realize, oh, I can do this. You know. So with her, she's always had it in her. It's just getting it out of her.
Right.
You know, now that she's getting older and she's actually tattooing, it's starting to come out of her more.
Sure.
So my other kids are all artistic. They all paint, draw,
Oh, cool.
color. Yeah. So
Nice.
I'm hoping they all follow suit.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree
Yeah,
sometimes,
they all got
right?
that gene. Thank goodness.
That reminds me of kind of like, of course, I told you I used to be a nurse, but that reminds me of like a dentist, a doctor, a nurse. When they get out of school, they don't really know what they're doing, and then the people that they're working with really need to teach them. You know, they get their hands
Kinda
dirty,
mold them up,
and
yeah.
So that's got to be what you're talking about. So, do you have a favorite type of food or a favorite restaurant here in Knoxville or in Maryville?
My favorite restaurant in town is probably Fleming's.
Okay,
I really
yeah.
enjoy Fleming's
Oh,
out
yeah.
west. It's like one of the best.
So
places.
expensive.
Yeah, but it's so good.
You like that Ferrari that's sitting outside when you pull up?
Yeah, you know, that's one of those places I like to take the family. Special occasions, we usually do Christmas there,
Yeah.
Thanksgiving dinner, stuff
Right.
like that. So
Yeah.
it's just a real nice environment.
Have you? So Fleming's is the most expensive restaurant in town, in my opinion.
I mean, besides Ruth Chris, yeah.
Yeah, Ruth's Chris and 1-2. But have you tried Connor's?
I have.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
Connor's. We love the lobster
Connor's is
bisque
good,
at
too.
Connor's. Yeah.
Honestly, any steakhouse, if it's in town, I've been to it. So I
So-
used to actually do a foodie TikTok.
Oh, cool.
I used to go to all these little restaurants and do a TikTok about them. Yeah. so-
Nice. Fleming's has, a dry aged steak.
Yes.
Have you had that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did you
it's
like that?
good.
Was it
Yeah.
different?
That's pretty much the only one I get when I
Oh,
go.
wow,
I get
okay.
a dry aged.
Yeah. That's
the
cool.
best.
I tried it one time, and I'm a wet age.
It's got a lot of flavor.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
don't like the flavor, then
Yeah, they said that's what they said, and that's why I tried it. But so, are you a morning person or a night person? And then,
my
what does your
days-
morning routine consist of?
my day starts at 6:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I get up, I go to the gym. I get about an hour into the gym, and then I get ready for my day here. I come into the shop. I'm usually here by 10. On the days we open at noon, I go see my son in the morning, and then I'll come here. But then I'm here 8 hours in a day, and then I go home and kind of start to wind down for the night. I usually try to see my kids at night when I leave here. If I haven't seen them during the day, I just try to utilize each hour of my day the best I can.
Yeah.
And my night usually ends about 11, 12 o'clock.
Okay, that's pretty normal. So how much sleep do you require?
I live off about 5
Okay.
5 hours.
You
of
feel
sleep.
good on about 5-6 hours of sleep? Yeah.
I feel all right. I'm
Yeah.
functioning.
Yeah.
I think going to the gym in the morning helps. You know, I stopped drinking a couple of years ago and traded alcohol in for the gym.
Right.
So, you know.
That's a good habit.
Yeah, you know, I was just 44. I'm starting to realize my time's getting less and I need to, you know,
You
take
can
care of
feel it. You can
myself.
feel your body changing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You get a little sore.
Definitely.
So.
Especially doing this, you know, we don't move a lot, 8 hours, we're sitting in a chair or, you know, whatever. So, I try to encourage all these guys to stay active, whether it's hiking, or we do a lot of hiking with the kids. But definitely me and my daughter are in the gym 6-7 days a week.
What gym do you go to specifically?
So I attend Fort Sanders, which is out
gotcha.
west, and then I also go to Club 4, which is in Cedar Bluff.
Okay,
So
yeah.
they
I've
just
seen
built
Fort
that one.
Sanders before. We go to the National Fitness Center. I like the pool, so.
That's what the Fort Sanders has, the pool, the basketball courts, the tennis courts, all that stuff.
Yeah, I've never been in their facility
Yeah, it's
before.
beautiful
The
facility.
public can
Smaller.
join it?
Yep.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. I always thought it was like you had to be a...
No. There's a lot of doctors.
You live
and
over in
nurses
that
there.
part of town?
I live in Cedar Bluff.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
so.
I gotcha. That's cool. Never even been in there. I'll have to go check that out sometime. So you mentioned you're not a coffee drinker, so what do you drink in the
I
morning?
usually start off with a pre-workout. You know, that's got my caffeine in it. I do a caffeine-based pre-workout, so that's about all the caffeine I need.
Yeah, right.
I've cut out most sodas out of my life, so I drink a lot of water during the day and stay hydrated that way.
Yeah, water's good. Yep. I actually, about 2 months ago, I drank coffee still, but I actually started just getting like I would say it's probably a 16-ounce glass of water with filtered water in it right before I walk out the door to the gym in the mornings. I kill that to super hydrate my system before I start, and then so that's I never did that before, and that's something I've started
me neither.
recently.
I never really took being healthy serious until about a year ago. So, you know, it's really important, especially with these guys, the way we sit, keeping our spines hydrated and everything.
It's sedentary, your job's sedentary for sure. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Nobody does. It's really, you know, and I actually have we do this whole seminar that we do here all about taking care of your body as a tattooer. So it's like an hour-long seminar.
Nice.
And it just talks about positioning yourself and, you know, stuff like that, which is really helpful.
Not
for these
bending
guys.
over, not reaching
Trying
up
to stay
like that,
straight,
probably.
keeping your stuff close to you, so you're not having to constantly turn and bend and putting all that stress on your spine.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because one thing we don't think about is when we're sitting there, you know, being in that forward motion, all we're doing is pivoting on those bones.
Right.
You know,
Your
we're not
lumbar.
drinking enough water.
Yeah.
You know, all that cushion in between your bones is drying out. So it's important that these guys, I mean, she's in there right now sitting there, you know, hunched over. So it's crazy. But.
How long does a normal tattoo take?
A lot of the stuff I do is between 5 and 7 hours. I do a lot of the bigger pieces. But these guys, they're doing tattoos 45 minutes to an hour and a half, the smaller stuff. It really just depends on what people are getting.
Right.
You know?
It's an hour.
It's
roughly.
Yeah.
So a normal tattoo.
Yeah, small tattoo, an hour, yeah.
How does somebody become a tattoo artist, and what can you do to help them?
So in Tennessee, they require an apprenticeship, which is a year long, or 1,000 hours, whichever you can get first. For me, I just actually started after 20 years of doing this. Looking towards the future, I'm trying to develop some type of really stationary apprenticeship for people. It's kind of lost in this area. There's a lot of artists out here that didn't really have a good apprenticeship.
Right.
And so they don't have a whole lot of knowledge, you know. I was very fortunate. My apprenticeship, though I was self-taught, I did go get an apprenticeship during my career. And I was fortunate to have an apprenticeship with somebody that comes from an actual lineage of tattooing.
Oh, wow.
So I'm trying to pass that on.
Right.
So I do apprenticeships here. This is actually our education room that we're in,
right.
Where I do all my schooling and teaching. I take on 3 apprentices a year,
right.
And doesn't mean that they're going to make it through, but they get the opportunity. It's $3,000. They pay half up front, and they pay half when they're done.
Right.
The money is used to purchase their equipment.
Right.
All the materials they're going to need to be able to do their apprenticeship.
Right.
You know? And then I do a lot of class work in here. I do a lot of talking. Every Thursday we do group sessions where we all come in here and kind of do a group thing. And I've been doing this now this is my second year, my second group of apprentices. My first group was my daughter,
right.
And a couple of the people that I have employed with me now.
Right.
So it's a learning thing. I'm trying to get it into where I can set it up as actual schooling. But apprenticeships are not as common. Real apprenticeships aren't as common anymore as they used to be.
Oh, okay.
People aren't being taught the proper things, you know. And for me, it's a lot about the respect of the industry, the respect of the art, and passing down all those sacred things that have been, you know, tattooing it's gone back so far.
Old school,
It's one of the oldest art forms. It is the oldest art form.
Oh, okay.
So passing on that knowledge and getting these younger artists to really appreciate where it came from, that's what I'm trying to push. So we do a lot of that stuff, a lot of history, talk about old artists that have kind of paved the way, and techniques. We do a lot of technique work. Right now, all my apprentices are working on machines. So they've got the old coil machines, they're pulling them apart, putting them together, making them run, and then, you know, using all the old school stuff, understanding the needles and the pigments and stuff. So it's really a full-fledged apprenticeship. by the time they're ready to tattoo, they'll have enough knowledge that they'll be doing banging tattoos.
Nice.
You know?
And so do you have to be licensed and insured to do this type of work?
Yes, this shop is licensed and insured. Tennessee does require licensing, and then of course, not the artists don't have to be insured, but the shops do.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So each artist has to have their own license in the state of
right,
Tennessee.
right.
I got you.
Yeah, most of the artists here have been licensed through me, so I'm very confident in their abilities and what they can do. Just kind of how this industry is moving forward. You know, with a lack of good apprenticeships, it really is important to consistently keep a quality of work. You have to have the knowledge, and that's what we push here is continuous education.
Right.
You know. So.
Yeah, because everybody has to have CEs.
Even me.
Honestly,
I mean, I'm 20 years in. I'm still learning.
Yeah,
I still try to find artists that are doing stuff I'm not doing, so I can learn from them.
Right.
You know, I just had a guy from California come out 3 months ago and did a seminar with us for a weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. So I flew him out here. He did a whole seminar. We did a Saturday. It was all education. We just talked about the techniques and everything, and then Sunday we got to watch him actually use the techniques.
Right.
And do a tattoo.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it was full-fledged.
What was his name?
Peanut.
Peanut.
Peanut out of Cali and Dallas.
Nice. So one of the questions that we talked about earlier was, do you attend associational meetings or conventions? And so talk about that. The last one you went to.
I try to do conventions here. There's the tattoo conventions have been going on since the 80s. They've kind of got away from what it used to be. It used to be a gathering of just artists to kind of share information, get together, hang out. Now they've gone and grown so big. You've got a convention just about every weekend in every state.
Oh, wow.
All over the country.
Yeah.
So this last one we just did was actually here in Knoxville. We did the local Knoxville Tattoo Convention. I think it's been going on now for.
I think I saw an advertisement for that somewhere. Yeah.
They've been doing it a while. It's put on by Ambition Tattoo, which is owned by Danny Fugate.
Okay.
It's a great show. We always have a good time doing it.
Where was it?
It's downtown at the World's Fair Convention Center.
Okay, gotcha.
So right across from the big fountain.
Yeah, right there.
In the field there.
Yeah.
They've been having it there every year.
1,000 people there, 500 people there?
Honestly, I don't know. It's always a good showing though.
Yeah.
I feel like every year it gets a little bit better. For us being local, it's more of an exposure thing. You know, this year all my younger artists did it, which is really cool because it was their first show, and they all did great. Like they had a blast, and they all made some good money.
Oh, good.
Got to make some new connections. Yeah, so
that's good.
For me, it's more of just kind of going out and getting to see some of the guys I don't get to see. I got a lot of friends in Nashville I don't get to see regularly, so they come out for that show.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome to see them and see how they're doing.
Right.
I actually did a podcast with one of my guys from Nashville.
Oh, cool.
Last weekend.
What's the name? Give them a shout out. What's the name of that one?
It's called Lab. They haven't put it out yet. They're still doing the editing. Okay. But it's Louis, Adam, and Rob. They do a tattoo podcast.
Okay.
So, yeah.
We'll put a link in the show notes here.
Yeah.
It's called Louis, Adam, and Rob.
Yeah, they call it the Lab.
Oh, Peanut, we were talking about Peanut, the tattoo artist out of California a second ago, and his Instagram is @inkbyPNUT if you want to see some of his stuff on there. And then we're also going to put a link in the show notes to the Lab podcast. It's a Louis, Adam, and Rob tattoo podcast out of Nashville. And then they work out of the Artworks tattoo shop, and we'll put a link to that in there as well. So is there anything else in the world that you're trying to accomplish besides work?
I'm just trying to leave a legacy for my kids.
Yep.
So that's like my biggest goal right now. I've kind of achieved every other goal that I've set for myself up to this point. I wanted to own a shop by the time I was 40. I've achieved that. My daughter's tattooing, so that's an achievement there. But really just leaving a legacy for not only the artists that I've apprenticed, but for my kids, giving them something. So when I do decide to retire or stop tattooing, I move to an island somewhere.
Sure.
They have something, So
right. Which island would you move to?
Oh, I don't even know. Probably Puerto Rico.
Have you been? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I've been to Puerto Rico. It's beautiful out there.
Yeah. Have you been to Vieques? Okay, there's it's a Puerto Rican island off the side. Yeah. We vacationed there for a week one year. So, where did you grow up and go to school?
So I was born in North Platte, Nebraska, but I grew up in Bethlehem, New Hampshire, and I went to school at Profile High School, which is in Franconia, New Hampshire.
New Hampshire is like this big.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like 40 people.
Yeah, it's small. It was, but honestly, as a kid growing up, it was nice. It wasn't a whole lot of crime out there.
Yeah.
My parents didn't have to worry about a whole lot. The education's really nice up there. I think I got a really good education living up there. Most of my family is out in Colorado, Nebraska, so it was definitely a different upbringing from what they had.
Right.
I remember I moved out there after I got out of the military, and it was seeing my cousins and how they had grown up, it was so much different than me. Yeah.
You were more sheltered in Nebraska then. I mean, in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, there wasn't a lot out there where they were at. A lot of that area is
Right.
it's just farmland. Like there's nothing there. So
corn.
the drugs are bad.
Yeah,
and it's,
right.
it was just different than what I grew up
Sure.
with. You know.
So are you a cold weather person or a hot weather
I'm
person?
a hot weather person.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I do not like the cold. So
Yeah.
it brought me down here actually.
Ah.
I was living up in New England.
Yeah.
Before I came down here 10 years ago, and it was just escape the winters.
Right.
They were getting so bad.
So I grew up, I moved to Tennessee when I was 11 from Michigan. And when I remember one time I walked outside and the snowdrift came out of the grass and met the roof of the house.
Yep.
Never forget that.
Yeah,
and I walked up to it and I put my hand in it and I was just like, wow, that's so much snow.
That's so much snow.
I think I was like 7, 8 years old. I'll never forget that.
At all.
It was
One thing I
crazy.
don't miss is the snow.
I like cold weather. I'm not built for this hot weather. It's supposed to be like 95 today or 94 today or something. Crazy. So how long have you been in Knoxville?
I've been in Knoxville since 2013.
Okay. So you've been here 11 years. And then how long have you been in the tattoo business and what was the spark that started your journey to own your own place?
So I've been tattooing now over 20 years. You know, after getting out of the military, I just kind of lost my way. I got into some trouble, ended up in prison. I did about 3.5, 4 months in prison. It was a real short stint, but enough for me to get sober and
man, I don't like it
my
here.
life. I had hit like rock bottom.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I was able to start drawing and getting into art again. And I had seen some guys doing some tattoos one night. I was like, man, I bet I could do that.
Oh, wow.
And then when I got out, I ordered some stuff and started teaching myself how to tattoo.
Yeah.
And kind of pursued that. My daughter was born in 2004, so that kind of, you know, I was tattooed out of my house on people trying to figure it out. In 2004, I had to get like a job. I started working these factory jobs and was just like beating myself up, man.
Yeah, you know.
And so I ended up pursuing an apprenticeship,
Right.
finding a shop and doing the apprenticeship and just going full bore with tattooing.
Yeah.
And I never looked back.
Yeah,
And so I did 7 years in the same shop up north.
Who did you do your apprenticeship with?
My apprenticeship was under a man named Tyree Duvernay.
Right.
He's from New Orleans, actually. He came up to Vermont after Katrina, him and his wife, and they set up shop in Montpelier, Vermont.
Okay.
A shop called Artistic Inc.
Yeah.
And I went to him, and
You spent 7 years with him.
I spent 7 years with him. Yeah, he was kind of rebuilding, and I got a great experience from him. His mentor was Jackie Gresham, who's a famous tattooer. She was one of the first African-American female tattooers to ever tattoo in the United States back in the 70s.
Wow.
So that's where the lineage
A lot of
comes
history,
from.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I was really privileged, really blessed to be able to land that apprenticeship and learn from him. And to this day, I still contact him. We still talk. He's a mentor all around. You know, not only in tattooing, but in life sometimes, and even in business, he's been, you know, a good mentor. So
Right. It's nice to have
being,
that.
Being with him, I left him and came out here in 2013, and I worked in a couple little shops and was trying to figure out where I was going to fit in, you know, and I ended up coming to Knoxville and working in a studio here in Knoxville for a while. And I worked there for like 3 or 4 years, and then the guy that owned it passed away, and I went and worked at another studio with a guy that had been in town for like 30 years. He's been tattooing here since '96, I believe. So that was a really good studio, and I got to learn some from him, business-wise and not. But I was getting around 40 years old, man, and my goal of owning a shop was approaching. So for me, I built a pretty good clientele over the years here, and I felt that, you know, it was time to make that move. And after COVID, it was really like that was it.
Yeah,
You know, COVID happened, and we had to shut down for a little bit.
Right.
It made me realize like how much money I was actually making for the shops over the years.
Right.
You know. Right. And overhead's not a lot for individual artists. So.
Right.
I made that jump in 2021. I opened up a studio, Knoxville Tattoo Collective.
Yeah.
And the whole goal for this studio was to provide a place for artists to be artists.
Right.
Without the pressures of having to, you know,
To
make lots of
mentor.
money or, you know, work long hours. I kind of let these guys work at their own pace. I let them build their own clientele and kind of bring in their own business. I do still try to push walk-ins and stuff on them to give them business, but I don't ever try to push them past what they can do. You know what I mean?
Right.
And for me, the money that they're bringing into the shop, it goes directly into the shop.
Right.
So that's one thing I'm really adamant about. I created a bank account separate just for the studio, separate from mine. I don't want to take these guys' money.
Right.
That's one thing that in my whole 20 years in this industry doing, it's always been putting money in someone else's pocket so they can go on cruises and vacations and buy fancy cars.
Right.
I just, you know, I don't drive a fancy car. I don't take vacations.
Right.
You know, I'm here with them every day grinding, busting my ass.
That's
so,
it.
You know, it's a, you know, we're a hustler shop. We work here. you know, and
And
I
a
expect
lot,
them to work.
yeah, a
So,
lot of your reviews on your Google business profile talked about honesty and talked about cleanliness and talked about punctuality and humility. Those are the words that I saw when I was going through your.
we really, you know, one thing I've learned over these years is just honesty is like the best thing with especially with your clients. I don't beat around the bush. I don't try to sell them a dream. I tell them how it is straight. If it's not doable, if I'm not comfortable with it, I let them know.
Yeah.
You know, I have lost clients in the past for that.
Of course.
But you know, it's a lot for me. The quality and you know the reputation I built over the years is important. So the studio has to carry that, and so don't the artists if they're going to be here. You know? So it's really important that we keep that standard. So yeah, we don't just do whatever. You know, we're the last say. The client doesn't have the final word, unfortunately, here.
On their own body. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
So that, go ahead.
And I was going to say, you know, it's true on their own body, and that's one thing that we have to deal with. And a lot of times they'll tell us, and for us, we're looking at, even though it might be your first tattoo, we're looking at a full picture of tattoos that could be done later on.
Right.
So we're thinking about the future for you, even though you may only be thinking about that moment.
We talked about lifetime value earlier when we were talking about your business. So yeah, lifetime value, LTV. Don't forget that. That's important. That's an important aspect of owning a business. So one of the questions that we were going to talk about, I think it's the right time right now, but what's the worst tattoo that someone has asked you to do or what they asked you to do and you refused?
So there's been times over my career, just like ignorant stuff. You know, I think I've definitely had people come in and try to push buttons, whether it's racial tattoos or discriminatory tattoos. You know, we just, I'm not going to play that game. We're not going to do that, you know. Now, I have had a guy come in and ask me for a portrait of Adolf Hitler, you know. Sure, if that's what you want, you know. I mean, did you read his book? You know, like, what is it about him that you admire, you know? If it's just because he's a racist, then But, you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, I've done Stalin portraits, you know, so what somebody comes in and wants these images for, it's something for them. You can't always judge them by that, but I'm not going to put myself in a position to do something ignorant or, you know. We had a guy not too long come in and wanted to do a tattoo on his dick, you know. He wanted a female to do it. Stuff like that's just perverted. We're not going to do that stuff. You know, there's a line that we draw. You know, we are people. We have respect for ourselves. So just because we have clients that don't have respect for themselves doesn't mean that we're going to drop to that level.
You can't change the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the favorite part about your business?
My favorite part, honestly, is the people I work with. I work with a lot of talented artists. Of all different personalities, which makes it a great day. You never know what you're going to get.
You hang out with some cool people.
Yeah, and really that's what it's about. I've met so many great people of all different aspects of life, you know, through the years. So, but the artists I work with, man, that's what really keeps it going. That's kind of like my second family, you know. So, as long as we can all get along, and we do fight sometimes. We have our arguments like family members, you know. But at the end of the day, we're all here for each other. We all have each other's backs, so it's nice to have that. You know, to come to work every day and know that you got people there that are there for you.
Absolutely. I think that's important too. And so, last question, what is your greatest accomplishment?
Honestly, I think this is my greatest accomplishment, this studio, and what I'm trying to build. You know, I've lived a life of all ways, ups and downs and all arounds, and I think that this is probably the thing I can hold on to and say that I've really done something good here. You know, I just hope to continue it. You know, to continue progressing and building a staple here in Knoxville.
So so to grow into this building, how many tattoo artists, I guess, would you have total?
Right now I have 7. I have room for probably 4 or 5 more.
So 11, 12 full-time artists working out of this.
We'd be hammering. We'd be doing good. So.
Could you do 13?
I might, make room. I got a whole back area.
5,000 square feet here almost. You got a lot of room here. So
a lot of room. So
yeah, for sure.
We're trying to push the merchandise right now. We didn't have merchandise in our last studio.
So what merch do you have available to people?
We've got custom shirts. All the artists have done a design. They all have their own custom shirts they've done. I have an apprentice right now that does custom coats. She does all hand painted leather coats.
Oh, cool.
Jean coats, whatever.
So I've noticed you're wearing a Knoxville Tattoo jersey. Can somebody buy one of those?
You could if you want. These are actually artist jerseys. We have these for the conventions. We all wear them when we go do shows and stuff. To kind of be unified.
So you don't have that available. You got
no, these aren't
t-shirts,
available. We have t-shirts available though. Like I said, we have our shop shirts that have the logo on them. Then each artist has created a design, so they have their own shirts. We have the custom coats that can be ordered. We can either do them custom, or we have some that are here for sale. We also do shoes. We do custom shoes.
Oh yeah. So I took a picture of some really cool Nikes, and we'll have that picture on there.
Those are the Air Force Ones. Those are all hand done. But we do all that stuff here. We do canvas shoes as well, which are all airbrushed and hand painted. So. Or just anything art, really. We paint. We have an artist that's an oil painter, very accomplished. He does a lot of oil paintings. So really anything. We do a lot of commissions. We're just trying to create like a mecca for art here, you know, so anything artistic or whatever the client wants, doesn't have to be a tattoo.
Right.
You know, they might come in and want a painting or want to get a coat for their kid or, you know, anything. So
What do you do when someone comes to you and they want you to do like tattoo makeup? Do you have a solution for that, or do you have somebody you recommend them to?
So I have an artist that used to work for me. She does permanent makeup. I try to recommend them to her and push them her way. Her name is Samantha Wilson.
I got you.
So she's got her own studio. I am looking for a permanent makeup artist. So if you know anybody,
yeah.
you know, but
could they work part-time? Could they?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
they work like 1 day a week or 2 days a week, or
it's not as common as your regular tattoos. It is more of an appointment-only type of situation. You know. There's a lot more involved with it as far as the consultation process and everything.
Right.
But yeah, it could be a part-time thing. It's not necessarily a full-time gig. You know, that's why my last permanent makeup artist became a tattooer to supplement when she wasn't doing permanent makeup.
I gotcha.
And she just tattooing was more her thing. She said, I can make more money doing this. So.
Yeah, good. So she makes more money doing permanent makeup or doing tattoos?
Just tattooing.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Just because it's more of a market for it.
Right.
You know, your permanent makeup market's a lot slimmer. It's more, you know, your older ladies and people that have been drawing on their eyebrows for years and no longer have them to draw on. So, but yeah, it's a very specified market. You really have to promote. And now that the permanent makeup is really blown up here in Knoxville, a lot of your salons are doing it.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, it's diluted.
And then, so if we had somebody watching that was a massage therapist, would you?
Yep. Right now,
could we have a massage therapist working here?
I have 3 rooms available. One is a double room that can be split into 2. But those rooms are for rent. I rent them weekly. You can come by, speak to me about them, talk about them. We can set them up however you want. There is a sink available, a hand washing sink outside the rooms. There is no water running to the rooms, so it would have to be something that didn't need water. Massage therapy probably okay. Nail tech, permanent jewelry. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we could put in there. So yeah, anybody who's looking for a room or a spot. I know some people that do the pop-ups. Even if you got a pop-up, you're looking to pop up permanently.
What do you charge for a week? And do you mind me asking?
The 2 rooms, I have 1 room that is $300 a week, and then the double room is $500. Okay. Or it can be split to $250.
Yeah, gotcha. And so until your 865-474-9054, they can call that number, obviously.
Text,
They can text it as well. So you can call or text that number. And then you can also go to his Google Business profile. You'll see a link in there to his website. And then you can click on the Google Business profile, you can click book here, or you can go to his website, which is Vigaro, Vigaro. If you'll Google Knoxville Tattoo Collective, this will all come up. Yep. But you can go to the Vigaro and you can book that as well. Yes. And so you can book those. You got people booking 6 months out right now.
Yeah. I got people booking October, January even right now.
So if somebody wants to get a tattoo and it's Tuesday, can they come in on Wednesday sometimes and get it?
Yeah. Well,
or sometimes same day?
Having as many artists as we have, we try to cater to walk-ins daily.
Right.
So we always have somebody available who can do a walk-in. If it's a bigger piece, we try to do a consultation first. So just come by, do a consultation, and chances are we can get you in within a week.
Gotcha. Yeah. And then if you're a UT student or a veteran, do you offer any sort of discounts?
We do a 20% discount for UT students and for veterans. Really, any college student, if you just bring your ID and present it to us before the tattoo, we can give you that discount. Same with you veterans. You guys bring in your military IDs and just show us that you're a veteran and we'll give the 20% discount.
And then you, how old does the person have to be to get a tattoo?
It's got to be 18.
18 years old,
okay. Yes.
So if they have a Tennessee ID or a Tennessee driver's license or a passport, they have to have an ID, then as long as they're 18. So that's cool. Well, Isaac, thanks for the information and thanks for telling us about your business. Definitely. And I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want to promote your business on our podcast? You can give us a call or shoot us a text at 865-687-7100. You can also apply by filling out our Google form in the description box.